once, my ass.
I'm only 4. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Robert.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Short Podcast about short films. I am your host, and we are discussing the Academy Award of Best Animated Short. Today's episode is about the 53rd year of the award at the 57th Academy Awards, which celebrates the films of 1984. Today's guest is a longtime friend of mine. Please welcome Ian Fastert. Hello, Ian.
Hey.
Hey. It's an honor to have you out here. It's such a pleasure. But I feel like we don't talk that much, so it's nice to have this opportunity to just talk about things.
Yeah, no, I also, I mean, like, your knowledge of the Academy Awards and like the whole history of that has been something that I've always like admired about you. So like a chance to be a part of, I don't know, your retrospective on the whole thing. I don't know. It excites me. I was excited to come on.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and it's like we certainly got a year to talk about here, but
Yeah.
Tell us what is your familiarity with this category, the best animated short category?
I don't have much experience going in and like actively looking through the years of like which animated shorts have been nominated and have won. I have a passing familiarity with it because I've taken in college, I took a history of animation class. So though I'm realizing I'm actually like looking through the list now, like a lot of the kind of groundbreaking ones that get discussed there aren't you well, okay, never mind. You got Gerald McBoing and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do see a few like historically significant shorts either win or get nominated, but sometimes you do see them like sometimes they end up on the short list but don't get nominated. It's like it's a
Weird.
whole thing. It's like sometimes the Academy is like aware of like what's significant. Sometimes they're not.
Mm. No, yeah. And so outside of that, I think I definitely have the most experience watching all the Pixar shorts
Of course.
through those like DVD sets from the late 2000s. And I've seen a couple of the more recent ones just because they're easier to access. Oh, and I'm realizing Nick Park won a good amount of them, and
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of the Aardman stuff, which I
Yeah.
love.
One of the funniest stats for me is that every single Wallace and Gromit film has been Oscar nominated, and like and half of them have won. It's just like because I know which ones was it? It was Close Shave, Wrong Trousers, and then
Where Rabbit.
Yeah, of course, Best
Yeah.
Animated Feature, Where Rabbit won
Let's
there.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
But
those
and
guys.
including Shaun the Sheep, like both of those movies, I think were nominated for Best Animated Feature as well.
You're right, actually. That's crazy.
So yeah, the Academy loves Wallace and Gromit and its spinoffs.
It's hard not to, I gotta say.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like your story is one that many of my guests end up. It's just like haven't watched that much, but watched the Pixar shorts. You were actually ahead of the curve a bit, having seen Wallace and Gromit stuff, and with your animation of film class, you know what a Gerald McBoing is. So that
Yeah.
that puts you above
I
a
know
lot
my
of people.
guys.
UPA is great. We love UPA in this house.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, another thing, it's hard to hate.
Yeah, I actually bought there's like a DVD set of all the UPA shorts that aren't Mr. Magoo. And it's just like I bought that because like of course what's better than UPA without Mr. Magoo?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that sounds like the perfect collection.
uh
Oh.
but yeah. Let's just get into these nominees then. This year has 3. Our first nominee and the year's winner is Charade, directed by John Minnis. This is the first and only Oscar nomination for Minnis, and the second nomination for Michael Mills Productions after The History of the World in 3 Minutes Flat. I run into the problem, as I did with Michael Mills before, that there is almost nothing to find or say about John Minnis. I have no birth date or death date for him. I barely have an IMDb page. I have no besides behind the scenes information. And like with Michael Mills, there are other people with his name, so that just clogs up the searches even more. All else he's worked on is a handful of TV shows, Kit and Caboodle, What's with Andy, and Daft Planet, which I thought might have been something related to Daft Punk, but I was mistaken. It's just a bad Flash animated sitcom. Uh, there's
Oh,
there's also
wow.
yeah, there's also Tripping the Rift, which he wrote on and features beloved character actor Stephen Root as a character named Chode. I've got nothing here, so let's move on to the actual nominated short. Charade features two characters doing charades for an unseen group. One does incredibly detailed pantomimes that the guessers don't seem to understand, while the other does a single vague motion and they guess it immediately. Ian, start us off. What did you think of Charade?
Sorry, just before that, I did look up Tripping the Rift before coming on. And I didn't even scroll down to the point where I saw who played Chode.
You just saw the
I read
character named Chode.
I saw the character named Chode. I looked at the IMDb description, which is really in depth. Or yeah, I was just like I was in awe that this guy made this. Anyway, he also worked on apparently Heavy Metal 2000, which I did not know existed, but there's literally no way that could be good.
Oh yeah, like I still need to see like heavy metal because it's like it's a lot of the nominees that I find in this category. I end up seeing that they worked on heavy metal either as a director or writer or whatever,
Oh,
or Ed. So it's just like it feels like something I should check out, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
yeah, it doesn't seem like my cup of tea personally, but my dad my dad recommends it, which I don't know if that makes it worse or not.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
all this
heavy.
is to say,
Yeah, go
Charade
go
kind
to
of
Charade.
sucks.
Charade sucks.
It kind of sucks. It's just like it was very, especially compared to the other two. I was not really amused by it. It's a light. It's we were taught you were as you were talking about before we started recording. Um, it's a light chuckle of a short, which just seems to be what the Academy favors, but it's very much like insubstantial and
Mhm.
whack.
Yeah, it's like after the first minute or two, you get the joke, and it's just like it just kind of keeps going because it's like oh, and the first thing it's like he's trying to do Dracula, and it's just like he does the shoulder thing and he turns into a bat, but the people don't seem to get it, and it's like. But then goes to the next person. He does some weird position with his body, and apparently that means Lawrence of Arabia.
I think it
It's
was supposed to be like a camel or something.
Was
Which
it? I spent a minute trying to figure out what the hell like he was
yeah,
supposed to be there because his other ones were a bit more obvious. Like with Superman, he just like takes off his glasses. That's a Superman thing.
yeah.
Uh, but I couldn't figure out what the hell the Lawrence of Arabia thing was supposed to be. But it was a camel. That I guess that makes a bit more sense. But anyway, um, yeah, this joke just gets repeated a few times with the guy who's doing like the elaborate ones getting more and more mad, and it ends with him just mooning the audience, and it's just like, yeah, and the ending credits joke is just them guessing things based on his ass.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
there was one that was kind of funny, I think that they said, but I don't really.
I liked when they said the black hole. I thought that was good.
That was yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. There were some I mean, like I'm a person, I guess like some Academy members maybe, who will laugh when someone just says the name of something that's like obscure enough or like just some movie that is forgotten. Like if I said, honestly, this is not a good whatever. Like if I said Transformers Rise of the Beast, I'd probably laugh at that, to be honest.
I did chuckle, but just you mentioning that movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a little bit out of that, but I was just like, especially in this category of like in this collection of animated films, um, I was just kind of not impressed by a white background and a guy shifting into different modes, I guess, multiple
Mhm.
times. And the joke, you do really get it like within a minute, and then it keeps going for another 3 minutes.
Yeah. And it's like this is a short that I remember it fondly, where it's just like, oh yeah, that was fine. That was fun. But then it's like when I watch it, it's just like, oh, this isn't even really that funny. It's just like, why do I remember liking this? It's just like it's a good concept for like just a little short film, but I don't think it fully delivers on it. Like I think there could have been
Yeah.
more done with it, but it just doesn't do that. I think maybe the fact that it just does like movies and books, it's just like it could have been a bit more like doing other kind of charade topics. Thanks. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Or building up into something that's a bit more like, I don't know, climactic rather than just because it is like he gets more into, I guess, his impersonations each time, but it's not
Mhm.
like the visual style doesn't like amplify really too much. It's just like, oh, now he's Superman, now he's Jaws,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just like um it kind of reminds me of another short that was nominated a few years ago. It's called The Great Cognito. I know you haven't seen this, but it's a Will Vinton short film. It's claymation, and
Ooh,
it's just like the whole short is just like it's this comedian and who does impersonations or whatever, and like his head transforms into the different people. Well, it's like it starts out like, oh, it's just like now he looks like George Patton and other things, but then it's just like it becomes more grotesque, and it becomes his head starts turning into like a periscope of a submarine. It's like the
oh,
transformations like build up. It's like, and so I think that that kind of thing, it's very similar to this, although I think that short, even though I didn't like that, I think it does it a bit better than what this does, which is not much. But
mhm.
also I like the conceit of this one more, so it's like I guess it kind of balances out.
Yeah. I just I just kind of wish it had more zest. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask how it compared to other winners because I obviously I don't think I've seen any winners in the last 2 decades before this, the 60s and the
Hmm.
70s.
You've
Yeah.
probably seen some of them. Like Winnie the Pooh won once.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, not many. But let me look at my ranked list of the winners and see where it falls. Because I do have a ranked
I
list
think
of
I've actually seen The Critic too. Now that I'm looking at it,
yeah,
the Mel
the
Brooks. Yeah,
the critic's
pretty
good.
good. Yeah,
Uh but yeah, Charade is pretty low on this list. Like
yeah,
it's I think it's the 10th worst out of 90 something. Yeah, out of 91, it's number 10 from the bottom, which is
yeah,
it's and there's a lot of solid winners in this category. So that's not too bad, but it's also just there's a lot better winners. But it's not like the true bottom of the barrel yet. Like I don't hate this or anything. It's just eh.
yeah. It was definitely That was my feeling on that. But I will say the other two did make up for it. They're kind of
Yeah.
like carrying the category there.
Uh,
I was really trying to find something on John Minnis because I'm like, how like I really could not come up with a reason for this to win other than that it's about people listing off movies and the Academy don't
mhm.
like kind of get some amusement out of that.
Yeah.
But
And it's
like John
yeah,
Min, yeah,
I was just gonna say like how we were talking before the episode is just like how I was also struggling to really explain like how the Academy picks winners because it does seem a bit inconsistent, but then I just kind of noticed it's like if a short is kind of funny, it will probably win. And it's just like last year we had a Sunday in New York, and that was just a kind of funny a guy that looks like the mayor of New York just singing New York, New York, but with some kind of funny lines in it. And then it's just like I could list other ones, but I don't want to just be listing a bunch of films that won. But yeah,
yeah,
it's that's the closest thing to a common trend that I see in the list of winners.
that makes sense because I'm like looking at this even a little bit like further the later 80s. There are big ones that just kind of get ignored
Hmm.
for some kind of goofier things. That's
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
Like
mean, oh, sorry.
oh no, I was just trying to think of like examples. Like there's Luxo Jr. that loses
Yeah.
to a Greek tragedy, which is another one that gets that's like regarded as one of the lesser winners. It's because it's also just kind of a nothing short of light comedy. But also my favorite that year is The Frog, the Dog, and the Devil. So I
Mm, I like that title. So
Yeah.
you're really getting me it. Warning against the demon drink in an animated. Sorry, I clicked on the Frog, the Dog, and the Devil Wikipedia page, which is so small.
Oh yeah,
The
that's
synopsis is just warning against the demon drink in an animated feature. I don't know what that means.
alcohol. It's like a
Oh, that
guy
makes sense.
guy gets drunk and it goes on a weird journey.
That's
But yeah,
crazy. Yeah, no, you're
honest,
honestly inspiring me. I want to like what fill out
I
this whole list. I want to see these.
I honestly can't recommend it enough because it's like it's a great way to watch a bunch of Oscar nominated films without having to devote too much to it because so most of these films are like less than 10 minutes long, especially in like the early days. And that's what makes this category unique is the fact that the earlier shorts are often more famous than the later ones because that's when you get like Tom and Jerry, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all those people.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like this period that's like the least popular because the studio animation has died out.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna ask like this era or when you were going through the 60s to the 70s, just like seeing the trends in animation, does that become like clear during through the short films even?
oh yeah, like
Yeah.
you start to see like a clear like drop off of like the studio shorts because it's like it starts in the 50s. It's just like you see the quality kind of drop a bit as like the studios are making less money because of television and all that. And then by the time the 60s hit, it's just like the category is running low on things to nominate. And it's just like it has to resort to going towards like more independent stuff and foreign films and things like that. And so you
Mhm.
stop really seeing like a lot of like the Warner Brothers and Disney and stuff. Although
Yeah.
you do Disney does occasionally release a film like Winnie the Pooh and things like that. And also Pink Panther wins at this time. Uh but yeah, by the time we hit the 70s, there is just no representation from the major studios except for like one or two films in the whole decade. It's
Y-
all just independent stuff and foreign stuff and all that.
It seems like a couple of them are like made for TV kind of
Yes.
specials, like Dr. DeSoto, which is on this list, I think is in that boat, I
Uh
would say.
Dr.
It could be wrong.
DeSoto, I don't think it wasn't made for TV, but it was made for it's this company called Weston Woods, which I'll talk about in my intro to that. But
Mhm.
that's a company that makes a bunch of stuff based off of children's books that they sell to like schools and libraries and stuff. And I think might also screen on TV for like Sesame Street or something. But
Okay.
but yeah. But we do get a lot of like 30-minute TV specials. Like recently we had The Snowman get nominated. That's a
Yeah.
big famous one. And
Yep.
we also had Richard Williams' Christmas Carol was a winner, and that was a 30 minute special for the BBC and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
This
kind of
is
funny that like these TV specials air in theaters first sometimes.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's they must still have the eligibility requirements of normal Oscar stuff, right? In
Oh
terms of like
yeah.
screening in the specific theater. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I think it was actually A Christmas Carol that did instate that rule because I think it did actually air on TV first and was just so popular that they screened it in theaters, and then it got Oscar nominated because of that,
Mm,
or Oscar winning. But then after that, it's just like the Academy's like, wait, we shouldn't nominate things that aired on TV. That's not a movie. So they implemented that rule, and then of course a few years later we get the famous Liv Ullmann scenes from a marriage fiasco, where it's like
mm,
all these actresses in Hollywood are like, we want Liv Ullmann to be nominated for an Oscar because she's so good in this, even though it aired on Swedish TV first. Uh, and yeah, although we still get some random cases where like some shorts did air on TV first, but still sneak through, like All Nothing a few years back that did air on TV in like 78 and then got nominated in 1980.
oh,
Which I don't know
crazy.
how that happens. I guess they just
Yeah.
didn't do their research or whatever, but it happens. And I
I
think,
mean, yeah,
yeah,
film release dates it can be like complete mess sometimes where it's like, oh, we filmed that like 3 years ago. Anyway, here it is.
And
It's wild.
I remember, I think it was like 2012. I think it's the film Tuba Atlantic, I think it's called, in live action short, that like it was nominated for best live action short, but then got its nomination revoked once the Academy found out it did air on TV first.
That's wild. Wait, that's crazy. Like to announce the nominations and everything, and then
Yeah.
go back on it. They're goofy. That Academy.
I always think it's so funny when that kind of thing happens, where it's just like they find out something, like with To Leslie this past year, where it's just like
Mm.
it gets nominated, but then they're like, wait, you're not supposed to be here.
How'd you even get here?
Yeah, but I'm glad that like To Leslie that's kept its nomination and stuff. But it's also funny when things do get revoked, like with Alone Yet Not Alone and Best Original Song on a few like in 20, I think that was also 2012. Oh, but yeah, and there's one time I think it was Best Documentary when a film won an Oscar and then it got its nominate then it got its win revoked because I don't even remember why. I think it was because it turned out it wasn't eligible for that year or whatever. Or so that it yeah, like they literally took back the Oscar and then gave it to the person to the film in second place. It's
That's
crazy.
that is crazy. Dude, like somebody had the Oscar in their hand,
Yeah.
and then they
They
just took.
took it home with them and then they were like, "Hey, give it back."
Can you just like? I mean, you could like drop it off at the museum, and just bring it back. We just need that. Sorry. You
Yeah.
take a picture with it before.
I hope you took a picture with it
Yeah.
because you're not going to get another chance at this.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. I every time Oscar season comes around, people are I follow it so intensely. And I know it's stupid. And I know it has no point. But it's so interesting. And I always find it funny. But then I have to like justify it to like gosh, just to like all the people around. And you're like, yeah, no, if you're not interested in like the craziness of like this shadowy group of people that decide what movie's the best of the year, I guess, then you get nothing out of this.
Yeah, it's like I definitely understand that like the Academy is not like the final say on all of this. It's like it is a very silly the whole thing is just so silly. But that's also why I love it. And also I do think it is a good tool for like trying to see like what was popular at that time because if it earns the nomination, somebody must have liked this. And
Yeah.
so it's just like it's a good starting point to getting into like film. But of course, don't just stick with the Academy the whole time. You gotta spread your wings and fly. But also you get some fun stories out of this too. Like there's a lot of fun like Oscar ceremony moments. Like in this category alone, like in this decade, like uh we have the story of the guy who got arrested shortly after getting his Oscar because he picked a fight with a security guard and then the guy who accepted the Oscar, even though he wasn't the one who won, and just the Academy had to figure out who the hell this guy was because the guy who actually won was in Hungary at the time. Uh, and they had to get the Oscar back from him, and until the guy who actually won could come and get it.
That's wild. Wait, so he just like said he was with the other guy, but then he actually just took the Oscar home with him and he changed
Yeah,
his mind.
it's like so what
Crazy.
happened was it's like so they had told the Academy that like this guy's not coming and just like just have the presenters accept it on his behalf or whatever, or but then a guy walks up and he turned out to be a producer of the short, or but he wasn't nominated or anything, he was just a small part of the production. And then so he like made the speech, grabbed the Oscar, and then it was just like the Academy had to like figure out who this guy was, and like make him give the Oscar back because he wasn't the one who's supposed to have it, and he wasn't approved to like accept on the guy's behalf. So yeah, there's some fun stories. I think that's
Oh,
a good point to move on to our second nominee, which is
yeah, we did a lot of talking about Charade there.
yeah, we love Charade,
We love
the
Charade.
1960s Audrey Hepburn movie.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, our second nominee is Dr. DeSoto, directed by Michael Sporn. This is the first and only nomination for Sporn, as well as producer Morton Schindel. This is also the first and only nomination for the company West End Woods, which specializes in making animated versions of children's picture books. Those of you listening might remember back in the 60s when we talked about Gene Deitch. I can't remember if I told this story before, but I at least remember reading about Gene Deitch being approached to collaborate on a project involving turning picture books into animated films, though originally it just amounted to the illustrations from the books with narration. And Deitch was unimpressed by it, but still told the person to keep going with their project, and they'll find the right person to sell their idea to. Well, Morton Schindel was that person that talked to Gene Deitch, and he built Weston Woods from the ground up, turning it into a money-making machine, because if there's anything that makes money for animators in this time, it's making things that can be shown in schools. Which makes sense. Schindel went to college for education, got a master's degree in curriculum, and his life's work has been Weston Woods from 1950s up until 1996, when Scholastic bought the company, after which Schindel would make a nonprofit that further worked to increase child literacy. This work would continue up to his death in 2016 at the age of 98. And that's not a life to slouch at, and his influence continues with the Children's Literacy Project still going strong to this day. Moving on to our director, Michael Sporn, he is a lifelong animator, from cartooning as a child to studying animation under big names like Faith and John Hubley and Richard Williams, then founding his own animation studio in 1980. Sporn also specialized in films for children, often adapting picture books for kids. Sometimes this is with Weston Woods, as with today's nominee, and his most famous film, The Man Who Walked Between the Towers, but also telling original stories in half-hour specials, like multiple films he made for HBO that tackled racism, like Whitewash and Jazz Time Tale. Unfortunately, Sporn passed away in 2016 at the age of 67 in the midst of production on what would be his first feature film, or what would have been his first feature film, a film about Edgar Allan Poe. But back to the short we came here to talk about. Dr. DeSoto is based on a book by William Steig, and it tells the story of Dr. DeSoto, a mouse dentist that cares to all creatures except for those who wish to eat him. However, one day a fox comes to his door with a toothache, and DeSoto begrudgingly helps him. Once the fox is put under anesthesia and openly talks about his desire to eat the doctor, he and his wife hatch a plan to ensure the fox doesn't eat them. So, I thought this was nice. I thought this was cute. It's just a nice little story about this cute mouse couple, this really cute mouse couple. I really love their relationship, and them hatching, just them scheming against this fox that's trying to eat them. It's a very simple story, but it works. There's not much to really say about this. It's just a children's story, but it works. It's good. I liked it. How about you, Ian?
Yeah, no, I loved it a lot. I mean, I do think it's not unfortunate, but it's kind of cool that like with a lot of these animated adaptations of children's books, you get like kind of a very distinct faithfulness to the art style of the books. And seeing that like move, because this is definitely a book. I've read the William Steig. I've actually never said
I'm
that
not
out.
entirely sure.
But I've definitely read that as well as some of his other ones.
Did
But I
you
don't
read
know.
Shrek?
See, yes, I've read Shrek. I did. I mean, obviously after seeing the movie. So my first, yeah, I was definitely Mike Myers first, Steig second, or Steig second. I think it's Steig. But yeah, no, I thought that Dr. Soto, I thought he was pretty cool. I was like, I agree that I thought his relationship with his wife was really nice. I liked when they were scheming and their smiles like popped up. Actually, the best part is once he, I guess, spoilers.
Yeah, go ahead, spoiler. Spoilers for this 40-year-old animated short that's based on an even older picture book that you might have read as a child already, but just forgotten about.
When they glue the wolf's mouth shut at the end, and then they send him off, they both get like two little smiles pop up on their face, and that just was like, that was a very sweet little moment. I just thought it was very funny. I like seeing little mice scheme. I like them outsmarting a fox. I will say, when I was looking at the Michael Sporn Wikipedia after I watched it, I was like, yeah, some John Hubley. You know, you get these big names in there that he like worked under it, and Richard Williams, which is crazy. Like, you really, I'm interested to see something that he's done that is more I guess his own style, or that like is something that he feels really personal to him. I was like, when I was reading a Wikipedia page and I saw the uncompleted Edgar Allan Poe thing, I was like, that sounds like it would have been crazy. Like that would have been like, especially he's working on it in the like 2010s. I'm
Mhm.
like, there's nothing that's really equatable to like a big animated project like that coming out this like in this kind of era. You don't see that. I
Mhm.
think that would have been crazy. It was unfortunate that he died so young.
Yeah.
Um, but Dr. DeSoto, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a cool little guy.
Yeah. Uh, on his like original projects, it's like I have been really interested in like the two films about racism I mentioned, Whitewash and Jazz Time Tale. Both of them also have Ruby Dee in them, who I love. She's great. And so it's just like I'm curious, like, and also he just has a lot of films that like are
Mm,
tackling racism. And it's just like, and this is a white man, I'm pretty sure. And it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, good on him. Like to be like back in the 90s, it's like, yeah, good on you being anti-racist.
yeah. No, it seems like a lot of that has to do with grow because he grew up in New York. So
Maybe.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's cool to like kind of take that with him. He's a pretty like lengthy early life and education section on here, which I was good.
Mhm.
I was happy to see that after looking at
Yeah, of
like,
John Morris or
yeah,
whatever.
John Moore
Minus. Minus,
Menace,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, just seeing
Already
like
forgot his
complete
name.
nonsense. Yeah. It's the director of Daft Planet, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Daft Planet.
But yeah, no, I mean, I really had a good time with this one. That I You're kind of right. There's not much to say. I don't have that much to say about it. I also realized that I called him Dr. Risotto instead of Dr. DeSoto, which I'm just gonna let that slide.
Honestly, might have been a better name.
It would have been
Like
funny. I like the
Dr.
alliteration,
DeSoto if he
though.
was Italian.
Oh, Doctor Doctor Risotto. That'd be tasty though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. I hopefully it wouldn't have a mouse in it, but
Yeah. If it was if it was Dr. Risotto, you would be the fox.
yeah. Oh, but
But
yeah.
yeah, this is just cute little short. And it's like and you mentioned before about like how films will replicate like the art style of like the original book. And it's just like
Mhm.
it is kind of interesting to see that. And it's like also like I've seen all these shorts before actually like re doing this podcast and researching them and stuff. And so it's
Oh.
like when it came some of these I didn't know were based on books, and sometimes a director will adapt multiple books by the same person. And so when it came to The Snowman and also When the Wind Blows, which were directed by the same person, Diane Jackson, uh I thought that was just her style, but no, that's just two films that were based on books by the same author, same illustrator. And so it's
Oh.
just like, oh, this is her style. It's like, no, it's the style of this other guy that she's just replicating for this movie. Which, you know, it can be like, I don't know, it is just jarring to find out. It's just like, oh, I thought this was you thing, but I have to credit someone else now.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely get that with a lot of I this last year I took a material of film class at my college, and it was mostly just like going through and doing stuff with film that was on like film stock. And we had like a big archive section in our school. Um and when I went back there I found like a couple Curious George tapes and stuff like that. And it is kind of crazy how and there are a good amount of animated Curious George things. I'm sorry about this dog. He's going wild out there. Um,
It's
but
okay.
yeah, no, it's kind of crazy how like not slavish you have to be to the source material, but it is kind of it's wild that they don't decide to change it like at all. But it
Mhm.
makes sense. Like with the snowman, that's like a very iconic like
Yeah.
it's the art style of that is very much like key to how it's done.
Especially since the book is like all pictures and no words. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of if you're adapting it, you kind of just gotta make the film as is. But I remember actually back in like the 70s, I was talking about Stephen Basu style productions, and they made The Legend of John Henry, which is one of my favorite nominees in this category. But I remember reading about the director or producer Nick Basustow, and he was saying how that project was a lot more freeing than a lot of his other projects because he wasn't drawing from any kind of source material, didn't have any author or illustrator that they had to like please with their animated film, that they had to like replicate that style. And like he compared it negative or contrasted it with working on the Giving Tree, because apparently Shel
Mm,
Silverstein was very stingy and very specific about what he wanted for this film, and offered like constant notes as is like he was not fun to work with for those animators.
that does track. That 100% tracks. That guy,
Greg Heffley was right.
he was right. I love looking. Oh, now I'm looking at a Shel Silverstein picture right now. This is so awesome. What a guy.
Looking at that album cover or whatever he did.
Yeah, basically.
Now I'm just looking it up now just so I can
Just
look at it.
glorious facial hair on that man. And
Yeah,
the baldest head you've ever seen.
gotta slap it.
Just-
Boom. He got it.
Oh, what a
Oof.
guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I would assume most I guess uh artists for kids books wouldn't be like super stingy and like, oh, you have to follow this. But I guess I wonder if it's more that or if it's more just like, oh, well, we know how this should look. It'd be weird if
Mhm.
it looked different from this. Even though I'm
Yeah.
sure the animators want to do their own thing.
Yeah. There's like a happy medium. It's like you can let the animators like have some fun with it, but also I think it's mainly just about like trying to merge the mediums between picture book and animated short or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
these are different mediums and you have to find a way to make them work with each other. It's like one of the best adaptations, I at least in this category, is in my opinion is Madeline by UPA. Hey,
Ooh, yeah.
because that one like it does really replicate that art style, but it's also just it moves between each page of like not really page of the book, but each scene or whatever in such great ways that it's just like oh God, it's such a beautiful film, and it's like it is based a lot on those original illustrations or whatever, but it makes it work. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that one, but I haven't gotten around to it. Or I haven't seen it in a bit, so I might rewatch that actually.
Yeah,
I love the book. I think Madeline's one of the prettiest books ever. And of course I've seen is it
the
1999 the live action
the
adaptation?
Francis McDormand
Yeah, the
movie.
Frances McDormand one, which
I,
I have not seen since I was 7, but I have seen it. And for some reason images from it are burned in my brain.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I think I should see it though. I think
It's
I need to.
probably okay. You could definitely do worse, I feel like, but I don't know. I'm not remembering.
The idea of
Um,
Frances McDormand as a nun is very pleasing.
yeah, and she definitely sells it.
Mhm.
Do you know the one Academy Award nomination Shel Silverstein has?
I don't think I do.
This is crazy. It is, you would think it's for like the Giving Tree, right? It is
No.
for Best Music Original Song, Postcards from the Edge in 1991.
Oh yeah, I think I
For the
probably heard
song
that.
I'm Checking Out. That's a Mike Nichols movie. God
Yeah,
damn.
I
Wow.
I feel like I might have heard that at one point, but I didn't know it off the top of my head or anything. But yeah, that's a
That's crazy that
it's
that's Shel Silverstein.
he
Have you
also
seen that movie?
I have seen I
Now that
it,
I'm looking at it, Carrie Fisher wrote it.
it's a great
It's really
movie.
good. Yeah,
It
she's really
yeah,
good.
Meryl Streep and Shirley
Yeah.
MacLaine as Carrie and Debbie. It's just it's great.
Okay. Damn. I did not think I was gonna find out that today.
But yeah, that
Wild.
you should check it out. It kind of feels like a you kind of movie.
Yeah, no, I think I'd like it. I think it'd be pretty fun.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, do you have anything else on Dr. DeSoto?
Not really, considering that we spent our time talking about postcards from the edge.
Yeah. Do you have any good risotto recipes? I don't.
I don't.
I'm
I don't
looking.
have many
Yeah.
recipes in general.
Yeah, I have the Tucci cookbook, Stanley Tucci cookbook,
Ooh,
but that's really all I got.
You know,
And then I
I
have my like go-tos, which I think everybody has their own go-tos.
I got this Paul Newman cookbook from a Zara as a
Ooh.
gift. If I kind of want to make something from that, but it's like I haven't had the opportunity or anything. It's
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of good recipes in there, and there's a lot of like celebrity guest recipes in there as well. Like you get like Whoopi Goldberg and Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman both have recipes in there.
Oh wait, okay, that seems like a must-have actually.
Yeah, and
I
there's
think
also a lot of fun pictures of Paul Newman in there. Like there's a picture of him in drag and stuff. It's great.
Okay, got it. Must have. I
It
gotta
is a
get
must-have.
it. That's crazy. Yeah. No, I did Paul Newman do a lot of cooking himself?
Well, yeah, he has like the whole
Okay.
Newman's Own company and stuff that's
Yeah, I
based
know
around
that.
food, and so it's like, yeah, he was a bit of a cook, and he
Okay.
enjoys food, and so yeah,
Good for
he made
him.
his own pasta sauce and everything. Salad dressing, like people nowadays know him more as the salad dressing guy than for his movies.
That's fucked up. I don't want to think about that. It is probably true. They know his face more from, I mean, yeah, they've definitely seen his face on those fucking salad bottles more than they have on,
TCM or
yeah,
something.
TCM or whatever. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's
Oof.
the amount of people I've had that tell me it's because I talk about Paul Newman. He's one of my favorite actors. And
Yeah.
it's just like I've had so many friends just tell me he like, oh, before I met you, I just knew him as the salad dressing guy, or it's just like, and it's just like, oh my god,
I they haven't even wow, that's pretty messed up.
yeah, like it's like either salad dressing guy or it's like, oh, from Cars.
Yeah, right. No, that makes sense. That is definitely our generation. Yeah, right from Cart. Butch Cassidy, come on. There's no way people haven't seen one Paul
I
Newman role.
but also like how many films of his just like is something that like people even nowadays would watch if they're not already into like older movies. Like what is like I'm gonna go to his letterbox page and find out like what his most popular movies are because like
I'm looking at it right now. It's Cars and Cars 3 for some reason, even though
oh yeah, he had
his
like
ass is
archival
not
voices in
alive.
that. Like
Oh, right. I watched that movie once and I forgot it, if
Butch
I'm being
Cassidy
honest.
and the Sundance Kid is
Kid. That
yeah,
one, I do think that one holds up. It's a great movie.
it's all right. It's not my
Yeah,
favorite, but it's good.
yeah, yeah.
It
It's
has a nice throuple
exciting.
in there.
Yeah, it's a good throuple. I like their dynamic. And I think that one, it's still it feels kind of modern in a way. I think,
Mhm.
or at least the ways that it's kind of antiquated are part of its aesthetic, and
Mhm.
it's kind of trying to be a throwback, even as it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
also
like
the
the Sting,
Sting.
the people are people watching the Sting still? It's like,
I'm surprised how high up the Sting is. One, because like I didn't think it was that popular, that well known, but also because it's not that good.
yeah, no, that's the thing. It's definitely popular because it is like adjusted for inflation, one of the highest grossing films ever, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, the reputation I've heard is that people are like, "Oh, it's the Sting." My mom's like, "I've seen the Sting like a million times, and it's the Sting. It's usually on, and you don't process that it's on." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I don't know if it's at the top of my list of movies I need to get around to."
Yeah,
But
it's like I'm wishing like some of the better Paul Newman movies were higher up, like Cat on the Hot Tin Roof or
oh
HUD.
yeah,
Uh, it's funny that he made both HUD and HUD Sucker Proxy.
yeah, no, I they're right next to each other on the letterbox list. I
Yeah,
think that's funny. I didn't know he was in Road to Perdition too. That's kind of
yeah,
neat.
he got an Oscar nomination for that. It was this last
Oh, for
one.
real?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hombre means man. Paul Newman is hombre. God, I love that.
I mean, where are they lying?
Uh,
Oh,
don't assume his gender.
and that's true. Oh, you're actually spinning. You're spinning. Harper is Harper a misunderstood gem?
What's Harper? I don't even
I
know.
don't know. It's some
Where even is it?
it's right next to hombre means man.
Oh, oh, I didn't even notice that.
You were in awe of the
Uh,
Paul Newman is
I
hombre.
I just like that. Like these are all below Mater and the Ghostlight.
Yeah, yeah, no, I saw
Oh, and Last Movie
which
Stars is below fucking Harper. More
oh
people
my
need to watch
gosh.
that miniseries. That's such a good miniseries.
Oh yeah, no, I heard great things about that when it was
You
airing.
need to watch it.
Yeah, no, I do need to watch it. I'm one of them. I have not seen nearly enough Paul Newman movies looking at this list.
I have seen 33, and that doesn't feel like enough.
There's apparently 112, so I guess you're
Although
right.
that's including like a lot of like documentaries and stuff. Like if
Yeah.
we exclude like those documentaries and things like that, that just drops us down to 70. But
Yeah.
which is a bit lower, but still that's a lot of stuff.
Oh, man
But
was
yeah,
busy. Man was busy.
he is so fucking busy. He makes so many movies.
Even in
And
death, he's busy. He's making mad sauces.
he, he made Cars 3.
He made Cars 3 from Beyond the Grave, and he's got a light Caesar. He's got everything you need. Oh, do we want to move on to
Part
in
of
my
me doesn't
opinion,
want to
Crown
because I
Jewel?
want to
I
keep talking
also
about Paul Newman because he's great. He makes a lot of great movies.
You
Uh,
could absolutely do a Paul Newman podcast, like a whole just like watching all the Paul Newmans. I'm sure just like knowing how much you love him.
it's like I know I definitely could, but I feel
Yeah.
like this is my work. This is what I need to do
Oh
I
yeah.
need to promote short films.
No,
It's just like
absolutely. You need to
because
finish this first.
like people already love Paul Newman plenty, and they just need to watch more of his stuff. Meanwhile, nobody gives a shit about short films anymore, and I need to change that.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Even though nobody listens to this podcast except like three people. But who
Well,
cares? I'm still doing it.
it's there, it's in the void, it's on the internet. Anyone can watch it. The aliens in the future, they could fucking be listening to this. They could be like,
I,
oh, that's
I'm
what Charade's
imagining
about.
I'm imagining a future where what my podcast is one of the only remaining pieces of media from this time period. And it's just like, wow, if this survived, this must have been so popular. People listen to this religiously every single week. But no.
I do think about like if only like 5 things that were on the internet survived for like future civilizations or whatever. Like, what if it's just like the worst collection of things? You get like 2 YouTube rewinds in there or something. Just
It's
like
it's like
oh,
it's like YTPs and stuff.
yeah, like one Netflix show, YTPs. Yeah, Hotel Mario YTPs. That's the only thing that survived.
Fucking Red Notice.
Yeah, Red Notice and a bunch of Mario YTPs. Honestly, can YouTube Poops get a best animated short film nominations?
I
I think
mean,
it's
they
time. I think we need
probably
to
could.
broaden the
Like,
category.
if somebody went through the effort of one, screening it in theaters at festivals, two, submitting it to the Academy, three, well, I guess you don't really campaign for those category. And if you do campaign,
Yeah.
that kind of works against you.
Mhm.
It's like how when Taylor Swift was campaigning with her short film last year, and it's just like that kind of excluded for her from getting nominated because people didn't really like that. At least the nominating committee didn't. So
Yeah, no, it makes sense, especially like with short films. If you're like a famous person already and you're trying to like, I don't know, force your way in just because, oh, I'm Taylor Swift, I directed this. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see how that would turn off the Academy. Though,
Mhm.
I mean, to Leslie, to Leslie worked, so I don't know.
But that was different. Like
That was different, yeah.
it's a
That
little
was
film with a big heart, not a short film with a big heart.
My grandma did watch that when it popped up on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
Shockingly, I'm pretty sure everyone who was like, "Oh, I know that from the Oscar campaign."
yeah. I
Finally
remember.
watched it. Was like, "Oh, that's like a fine little movie."
Mhm. I remember like when it was announced that To Leslie was gonna be on Netflix soon. It's just like I saw a tweet that was like, oh, this is gonna do absolute bangers on Netflix. And then
Yeah,
sure enough, when it first premiered, it was like it was in the top 10 most watch of that day or that week or whatever. Which makes
yeah.
so much sense
It
because
does make sense. It's a Netflix ass movie.
they always just like randomly like see like you always see the most random movies become like top 10 and on Netflix. Like, remember when the Snowman was
Yeah,
like
the
not the good
snowman was pretty
Snowman, the
recently.
short film, but the
Yeah.
bad Snowman with Michael Fassbender.
Well, I mean, they did give us all the clues. I think people wanted to know.
Yeah, Mr. Police,
Mr.
I gave you all the
Policeman.
clues. God, remember those memes like back in 2017
It
before
was so awesome. I was backing up like my photos on my phone because I've just saved so much shit and I carry with it like each time I get a new phone. But I was like finally dumping all my 2017 stuff on a hard drive. Just so many snowman. It's like the entire month of October 2017 I was doing. I remember I was working at Panera at the time, and whenever I was on my break, I'd open my phone, I'd open Twitter, and I'd find a new snowman meme, and I'd just lose my shit because they were funny every time.
and nobody saw the movie is the thing.
Yeah.
Like those memes were everywhere, but nobody gave a shit about the movie because it was bad.
And like not like interesting bad, like oh
No,
they didn't finish making the movie bad.
literally, it's just like
His
and
name was
not
Harry Hole.
Harry Hole. I
Michael Fassbender is Harry Hole.
yeah, if I want to see Michael Fassbender's Harry Hole, I'd watch Shame.
Yeah,
But
the
but yeah, it's
obligatory.
just like yeah, that movie like it literally was like only 80% filled and it shows. It's just like you got these random scenes with Val Kilmer in it. It's just J.K. Simmons is there as a weird villain that amounts to nothing. It's just a nothing movie. I saw it in theaters and it it was a waste of time, truly. Like the best part of it was when Michael Fassbender like honks like a donkey for like 5 seconds.
Jesus Christ. I feel like I may have seen that clip actually.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. What a
But yeah,
crazy time to be alive.
it doesn't matter.
The Snowman was showing in thousands of screens across the country. Uh
Yeah.
yeah.
So our third
Harry
and final
Hole.
nominee is Paradise, directed by Ishu Patel. This is the second and final nomination for Patel after The Bead Game, which lost to The Sandcastle in 1977. This is also the 18th nomination for the National Film Board of Canada, which is still a decade away from getting another win in this category. With Patel, the last time we discussed him, I promised I would go into various camera techniques he experimented with in his career. His early film Perspectrum experimented with using multiple passes of the camera. The film Afterlife uses a backlit plasticine, a form of clay. And in the previous nominee, The Bead Game, he literally used just a bunch of beads to animate with, which I don't believe has been done before, but it really works. And in today's film, he combines all these techniques as well as pinhole animation, sand, paint on glass, and more to create visuals unlike anything you've seen in animation before. However, Patel left the NFB in 1993 after his film Divine Fate, and since then he has made a few commercials here and there, including this gorgeous one I found on his website for United Airlines. But mainly his efforts have been focused on teaching, doing masterclasses across Asia. But let's go back to the film at hand. Also winning the Silver Bear at the Berlin Film Festival, Paradise is about birds. So many birds. One particular bird, a blackbird, sees this gorgeous palace with a gorgeous bird in it who is kept there by the Sultan character. At first, the blackbird wants to go live in the palace and puts on a bunch of colors and ornaments to make itself beautiful. The blackbird then goes in and performs for the Sultan but is kicked out. At first disappointed, the bird then realizes the true beauty of the environment it's in and the birds it lives with. Or at least that's what I think is happening. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But Ian, what did you think of our final nominee?
I thought it was gorgeous. I also I'm sorry like every time you do the whole like you fill in like the history of the animator and like the people who made it, and then I just like want to comment on something with that, and then obviously it brings us away from this film.
Mhm.
But I did want to point out, like looking at the nominees for best animated, and the last time issue was nominated, he was up against a Doonesbury special.
Yes, it's so
I,
good.
oh,
I
is it? Okay.
I love a Doonesbury special so much.
I do kind of like I like a
And
little bit of
it's the
Doomsday.
final nomination for John Hubley. It's a posthumous nomination too. He passed away during its
Oh
creation,
yeah,
as well as
yeah.
Faith Hubley as well.
Oh yeah. That's crazy that Faith and John worked on that actually. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe I'll definitely get on that.
It it's
I was just
really
I
good.
was okay.
And yeah,
I'm in
June's
awe
Bird.
that this one did not win this.
Uh, yeah, Back to Paradise.
Yeah, sorry. I was just like also what you said about the bead game. It seems really interesting, and I do want to see that actually in motion because it does. That's like something I haven't even considered as animated with fucking just beads, not beans. That would be
Uh,
a different film, but
Bean
that would
Clock the movie.
yeah, the Bean
Let's
Clock
do it.
movie. That would we're raising funds here. We're starting the Kickstarter now.
The
Bean
Bean
Clock
Clock
the movie
memorial film.
to be played at his funeral. His 5 year late funeral. Anyway, yeah, Paradise I thought was excellent. I was like, there are image. I agree with you in terms of following the plot necessarily, but I didn't really care when I was just watching these birds, these stunning winged birds flying around and transforming and all the different shapes, the like design or the like glow that the castle or the palace
Hmm.
that the Sultan lives in has to it. I was genuinely like I
It
don't even know how they really
it's
got that effect.
insane.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like it. I think it's literally like they have uh like pinholes and whatever, and it's just like they shine light through it, and it's like
The Sammy
creates that glistening.
Fableman method.
Sammy Fableman, God.
Fableman classic.
But yeah, it's so gorgeous. It is just beyond belief. And it's just like but also I did genuinely try my best to follow the plot, and I still ended up like really confused. Because I thought it at first it was going to be like an Aladdin kind of story where it's just like the blackbird tries to like falls in love with the beautiful bird in the palace, but that bird just like disappears after its one scene. And it's just like it's
Yeah.
just about the blackbird trying to be a class traitor, but is not allowed to be. It he tries to grade expectations himself and doesn't work out.
Yeah. Sometimes you can grade expectations yourself. Sometimes it's just not gonna work out.
Hmm.
But yeah. What I was thinking, in terms of like the bird this class trader, sort of like I did kind of like that it was transitioning in terms of like its shape and form and like the sequence where the bird goes and just like picks out little pieces from other birds and
Yeah.
like the leaves around I thought was hilarious and then just like lays out all these costumes and is like what do I do with this now and just like rubs rubs goop
Rubs
on
his
his
like
chest.
yeah fruit or I love how he just
Yeah.
like when he's taking all the shit from like the other birds and from the trees and whatever he just is like get out of my fucking way, I'm taking
Yeah,
shit.
he like kills some birds.
Yeah,
I was like, he definitely just like knocked like a bunch of baby birds. He
yeah,
knocks a whole nest full of eggs off of the
yeah,
thing. I was like, you
like
just murdered their kids.
bro,
Also, I'm
rude.
pretty sure are two of the birds fucking.
Maybe
I did.
I
It was like a very weird. He's like flying by a bunch of different birds, and two of them are just like. I think it's the ones that are next to the nest, but like they're just doing some crazy thing, and I'm like, this this is so it was that was a little bizarre to me. I kind of liked it. I was like, if this is a bit vulgar, that's kind of fun. It's
Mhm.
just like it's so unique, like in terms of visual style and like and comedy and even like narrative, like how
Yeah.
it portrays its narrative. I was like, I was following, but I was definitely like, this is a weird way. Like these are weird places for this to end up going.
Hmm. Yeah, and on what you were saying, it's like first I forgot how silly this movie is. Like of course that one scene where he's gathering all the stuff, it's like very funny. But also like when he performs for the Sultan, he's just a little goofy little guy. He's just like, look at me, I'm goofy. And then the Sultan's like, wow, you sure are goofy. And then he puts him in a cage and throws him out.
Yeah, no, the cage drop is so the like cut from the cage drop to just like lightning in the background. He's like hung from a tree in the cage. I was like, God damn. I did think I kind of picked up, maybe I'm just assuming, but there it did kind of read to me as sort of a story of assimilation in a way of like trying to like change who you are to impress this, I don't know, this specific
There's the ruling class.
look. Yeah, the ruling class, and then no matter what you do, they're still not going to accept you. You're still like beneath them.
Mhm.
Um, but then the epilogue to this I thought was excellent.
Yeah,
That was a moment where it really transcended to me, where I really thought that it had peaked earlier, or that like, because I was so astonished by the first palace sequence,
yeah.
but him flying around and seeing all these like really like beautifully drawn out guys, and they're pretty big ass birds.
Mhm. Yeah.
But just like admiring all these different like colors and these different birds. I really did like that final note that it ends on. I think it was wonderful.
Yeah. Part of me was like, I didn't realize that was the ending until like it ended. I was expecting it to like he was gonna join up with the birds and like do something, like maybe to like
Mm,
free the bird that was in the palace or something like that. But that is just like then it just ended on like the shot with like the blackbird in the center of all the other birds. It's like which is a gorgeous shot, and it's just like oh, it ends. That was the ending? Oh, okay. Which like
yeah,
it's a good ending. I just didn't expect it. But yeah, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And it's like I think this is really once you like pay attention to the story and once you figure out what the hell the story is, it's a really good story. How about like how we can like desire the gilded cages. It's just like how desire to be like rich but trapped. And it's like when you can be free with people who are like you. It's just like which, you know, can have a lot of relatability, I guess, to certain groups of people, let's say.
yeah, no, absolutely. I again, that image that you brought up, that's the last image of the film, is so like gorgeous in that way. All the birds, they're like kind of silhouetted, but you have their tail feathers changing colors, and they're all just like reaching towards the sun. I don't know. It is really a beautiful image. And I like the like distinct, almost like different art styles between some of the birds. I thought that was kind of interesting. Or at least how the main bird is very simple in his features. And some of the ones we see later on are definitely, they all have their own very distinct style to them, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like you do see like the whole spectrum of birds. It's just like it's a really like who knew there were so many kinds of birds out there?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Ishu must have did his research.
Mhm. He went to a fucking like bird sanctuary, or whatever. It's just like wrote down like drew every single bird he saw. It was just like, this will be my masterpiece.
I can fit so many birds in this bad boy. Oh yeah, this one's gonna be full of birds. You were talking about the camera movement, which gets its own credit at the in the credits of the finale. That there were, I think, two people or a couple people who were working on the, no wait, no, never mind. The specific animation camera effects were done by Pierre Landry.
Mhm.
Um, is that something that comes up in his in Ishu Patel's earlier work, or do you know anything really about the techniques that were used there?
Not particularly. I'm not the biggest. I don't know much about the camera movements. I didn't read up on that. Although I did see one thing about how like he does utilize like the camera movements in some of his other shorts. Like the bead game, the camera is constantly like pulling out of the scene. It's like it gets bigger and bigger or
Ooh.
whatever. Or and so he does I do know that he does like to experiment with like movements of the camera as during the animation and stuff, though. Uh, I'm not totally like experienced in like the intricacies of it or anything.
Yeah, I
It
love this.
certainly is great camera movement, though.
Yeah, I was like really just, I lost track of time watching that. That's specifically the palace section, where that's where the camera movement I feel is the most like
Mhm.
not in your face, but kind of like dazzling in its
Oh
movement.
yeah.
Um,
Like that
yeah,
that whole palace sequence is just unreal. Like
yeah,
it like that alone should have won it this Oscar. It's like
yeah. You'd
Jesus
think
Christ.
I was truly astonished that something that doesn't even have a background beat it out. But I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. It's it's a
But
category in best animated short film. It's not mostly just animators who are voting, right? It's
yeah,
kind of whoever
it's
watches all of
just
them.
yeah, it's literally just who whatever Academy members want to watch the nominees and vote for whatever. So it's just like maybe Paradise should have been funnier. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess it should have. I think it's got jokes.
It
It,
is like we were
it,
saying. It's like the bird is so goofy. It's hilarious, but
yeah, he's a
I
funny
guess it wasn't
bird.
enough for the Academy. The bunch of snobs.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Man,
I truly don't know. I, like the Academy is famous for having some incomprehensible decisions, and it's just like this is one of them.
yeah. But I mean, at least it's a good collection of films.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're just nominated, you're like, oh, this is good. I'm glad that Paradise is now like recorded in history and not just
Hmm.
like some another thing to be lost, as is
Oh yeah,
becoming increasingly common in film, which kind of sucks.
yeah, and it's just like one of the great things about this category is that almost all of the nominees are available to watch like online easily. He like, and that's because of like there's this one guy who has like this blogspot account. It's best animated short blogspot or whatever. Or and it's just like he went out of his way to like find like the prints of these movies and digitize them and things like that just to make sure that this category was like preserved. Or and it's just like there's only one that is still lost. It's Rippling Romance from like 1944 or something. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
out of like all like 500 something nominees, only one of them is lost. It's like that is an incredible feat. I'm so thankful for his work. It's just the whole art of preservation and stuff. It's truly great. I'm so
Yeah, it sucks that it's really like preservation is so much led by people who are just really passionate about it. Like it's kind of on individuals to have to like search these things out because the companies that either own them or like maybe have versions of them lying around just don't really care, or I don't
mhm,
know. There's no money to be made in archiving, which is
yeah.
weird because it definitely is. But I am very thankful for everybody like, and you'll see it some like once a week on Twitter there'll be like some cool thing that's been found or like dug up, and you'll be able, it's just like something that you never thought you'd see before. And it's really cool that like we actually have everything we need to be able to archive these old films, but we just kind of need to
Yeah, we
to
just need
have
to really
a large
find
scale
them
process. Yeah.
and get the resources, the funding and or whatever to preserve them and whatever.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
exactly. But this, I would love to watch this. Speaking of which, obviously, like the versions of these that we watched were not super, or at least the versions that I watched were not super high quality rips.
Oh
This
yeah.
is one. This is Paradise in particular. I would love to see like a source reel or like how it looks projected. That
Oh yeah, like a
I like
restoration or
can't even
something.
imagine. Yeah, if it was restored, that'd be great.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I was really just like I'm watching those like shining effects that are on the palace in like 240p or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm
Eh,
still like it gives it a weird movement to it, but I was like, man, I want to know what this like looked like on the fucking on the
yeah.
film stock.
Yeah, it's something that like we just can't have until, somebody goes out and gets it for us.
Yeah.
Or
It's
unless
unfortunate.
we get the fucking resources to go out and find a loose film print somewhere. It's
Seize the means of
seize the
of old films of archiving. Who knows?
seize the film of paradise.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh, uh,
uh,
anything else you'd like to say about this?
um, let me think. I don't think so. Just really stunning film. I was like, it was probably the best part of my. I watched these all today. Probably the best part of my day. If I'm being
Nice.
honest, was watching Paradise. Well, and having this conversation, of course.
Of course.
But
Yeah. This is
yeah,
certainly the best part of my day so far because all else I've done today is work. So
yeah,
yeah, this is
not
great.
as pleasant. Oh,
But yeah, so now that we've gone through and talked about the three nominees, let's rank them all. Ian starts off with your number three, and
my
I
number
think
three.
just from our conversation, it should be obvious what our ranks are, and I imagine
Yeah,
it's the same rank for both of us.
I feel like it would be the same rank for most people if you showed them this, but not the Academy apparently.
Mhm.
Yeah. So my number three is shockingly Charade.
Of course, same here. Just a very basic. It's a harmless film, but at the same time, why does it here? Why did it win?
Yeah, why did it win? It's like I will stump me till the day I die if I'm still thinking about Charade when I die, which probably I won't be.
Yeah, you'll forget about it in a week, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. Maybe I've already forgotten it.
Who knows? Number
Number
two.
two. Well,
Uh,
my number two
yeah.
is the Mushroom Man himself, Dr. Risotto.
Yes.
Mushroom King.
The Mushroom Kingdom is Dr. DeSoto. But yeah, mine is also Dr. DeSoto. Just a
Yeah.
solid, children's book adaptation. It's a cute story about a mouse dentist who fucking hates this fox.
I had a very pleasant time with it. It was very enjoyable. I felt like it was the right length. It didn't go on too long. I look at those little mice outsmart that fox. I had a great time.
Mhm. I just wanted to say one thing about Dr. Soto is that I went to Letterbox and was looking through like the reviews and stuff and one of them was like comparing this to Zootopia. And it was just like with that metaphor, this one doesn't work that well. And it's like I don't think you're supposed to think of it like that. This isn't meant to be like a metaphor for, race relations or something. It's like
Yeah.
this is this is smarter than Zootopia is.
It is smart. The thing is, I'm like, it makes more sense here. Or I guess it's simplified. Fucking Zootopia makes it so complicated. It's like, oh, here's how society is like tiered, but also like it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that movie is
Mhm.
not my fave. Dr. DeSoto, I was like, oh, okay, it's a fox. It's basically like the fox that you have in a kid's book or like Dora,
Mhm.
even like the sly fox that the heroes have to like outsmart. I don't know.
There's another nominee that's kind of like this that I think you'd enjoy. It's called It's So Nice to Have a Wolf Around the House. And
Oh,
I'll leave it
that
at
one,
that.
I feel like I've heard the name of that one before. I don't know why. Interesting. It's
I
nice
don't
to have
know.
a wolf around the house.
Mhm. Yeah, it's about this like houseboat with like an old guy, an old dog, an old fish, and an old
Wait a
cat.
minute. Oh, I've seen that. No, I know why I've seen that because that was when I was talking about my film class. That was one of the ones I pulled, and
Oh,
yeah, I watched that. The dog comes in and he cleans the house,
oh yeah,
and
the
I didn't
quote
realize that was
unquote dog,
nominated.
but it's really
The
a
dog,
wolf.
yeah, it's a wolf. That's crazy. Wow, that
Well,
is really
I'm glad
cool.
you've already seen it. It's like
That's one
do-
I actually did see on film too.
oh, that's so
Yeah,
nice. I'm
yeah,
so
yeah.
jealous.
I had it on the Steam Deck. I was editing it. It's cool. I was having a good time.
With Steam Deck, what?
This no, not the Steam Deck. The Steam Back like
Oh,
film editing station. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
It was an archival project. So I was or we were using archival footage. There was one project where we couldn't shoot anything ourselves and we had to use whatever we had. And that
Okay.
was one of the ones I was like, ooh, I want to use this wolf dog. I want to use this like maid cleaning. I think it was
Okay.
fun.
I'm
The
just
Steam Deck,
imagining.
God, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Just-
Yeah,
it-
I had it loaded up on my Steam Deck. It was awesome.
the Steam Deck is compatible with 8 millimeter and 16 millimeter film.
Yeah, I was watching I was watching Boogie Nights on my Steam Deck on film. That's wild.
I'm actually seeing Boogie Nights in 70 millimeter soon. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
no,
great.
I'm excited for that. I'm probably gonna see it too. I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's cool.
Neither have I. It's like I think I've only probably watched it once, like maybe a decade ago, maybe a bit sooner, but Like, yeah, I'm excited to rewatch it. All right, and
Yeah,
our
I
number one, which
number one
is
is Boogie Nights.
number one is
Paul
Boogie
Thomas
Nights,
Anderson.
which
Um,
surprisingly was nominated for Best Animated Short a decade before it came out. But you know,
despite being 3 hours long.
yeah. I don't judge the Academy's nominating procedures. I just judge based on the nominees, and Boogie Nights is clearly better than Dr. DeSoto. But anyway, Paradise by Ishu Patel,
Yes,
of course, gorgeous, 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 gorgeous movie.
a
That's about all
wonderful
there is
film.
to say. It's like
Yeah,
birds,
there's just a wonderful film about birds. I
beautiful,
loved
beautiful
looking at
birds.
it. I love the colors. I will probably show it to people at some point. I don't know if there's any time I'm having a conversation. I'm like, hey, do you want to watch an Oscar-nominated short film from 1984? I now have three I can pull up,
Hmm.
so I got that
Yeah.
going for me.
Before we end our show, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share, Ian, or anything you'd like to promote?
Um, in terms of promoting, I am kind of in between jobs right now. I'm working on a short film that
Ooh.
is raising money right now. We just passed we're fully funded on Seed Spark. I'm producing it. It's called Our Future. It was written, it's going to be directed by my friend Al. Um, and it's a sort of dystopian future movie about this girl who's trying to get insulin for her younger brother and running around dystopian New York after like climate change has totally wrecked it. I really like it. I think it's a fun project. We're going to be shooting in September, so
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know. If you hear this and you're interested, you can either I'll send you the link to the campaign, obviously, but either you can look it up or just like keep it on your noggin until it eventually comes out, which it will. But otherwise, you can follow me on Letterboxd. That's kind of my main zone. Me and Fastert there.
Hmm.
Um, I'm hoping to branch like I have my own website that's sort of a portfolio and a blog, but I need to work on the blog part. It's just so much easier to just log my thoughts on Letterboxd, and it's not. I don't know. I think I
Hmm.
definitely like stress myself out thinking about like how proper a piece of writing has to be for me to publish it. But yeah, no, I'll be doing writing. I'll be filming things. Um, I'll be around. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah. So I just looked up like when this episode's coming out. It's coming out on August 3rd, so like a month from now, you might be
Okay.
filming.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't
so
donate to the camp. Well, I could maybe you could still donate. I don't know.
uh,
You know, it doesn't really matter. Just keep Our Future on the mind, unless the title changes, in which case forget that name entirely and do something else
please
with your
give her
time.
money. She needs
I would
money.
love money. I do. It would be fun. I'm excited because I just graduated from college,
Nice.
and I had to do in film video, and I just had to do my senior thesis, and well, we were all doing our senior thesis at the same time, and because it was like you had to get it done within the school year, it like rushed schedules for everybody. Nobody was getting paid, so obviously because nobody had any money because we were like putting films together for like bottle caps and shit.
Mhm.
But this one we're hoping we're gonna pay the whole crew, especially now that we've actually hit our thing. So
Oh yeah.
it'll be good. I'll be working on a film set and actually getting a salary, which you know, easier said than done. It's not always how it works out,
Yeah.
especially early on in your career. But yeah, no, be on the lookout. Movies. I'll be making shorts.
Movies. Hell yeah.
Movies. The the movies.
The movies.
The movies.
The movies.
Yeah, I'm
Love
also I will
one of
be in Fast and Furious 10-2 or X2. So
I,
look out for that.
I wish they like still called it 11. Like I because I think like FF11 would be just like a great title.
That would be funny. I like that. I push for FFX2 because that's also Final Fantasy 10-2, which is so it just would be really funny if there were two things named FF10-2, FFX2. Fucking wild. I love Fast X.
10 Fast 10 Furious.
The 10 Fast 10. Well, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, and it's like there's two tens to signify it's the second 10 movie.
Yeah. Oh
Anyway,
man, I love Fast and Furious. That's all I gotta say about that.
well, thank you, Ian, for coming on the show. And then thank you, listener, for tuning in. This has been the short podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.